Rolling.
What's going on, friends, friends, and family? It's your man Post Midnight back with a seemingly belated installment of The Struggle is Meal. And since the last time we all got together, that Trumpster fire stench is still reeks, right? The world is still on fire, which means probably now more than ever, we need some yummy, super relaxing, super easy comfort food. And while I'm not a fan of Senior Brainworm, and I hope that neither of you are either, right? I can't really argue with the concept of making America healthy again, or at least healthier. So just because something is not necessarily great for us, doesn't mean we can't find a better way to make it. Case in point, tonight's recipe, the classic mac and motherfucking cheese. Now, most times when people like to make mac and cheese, they like to use like Velveeta and shit. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's a reason why it's called cheese product. Because they can't legally call it cheese. If that don't scare you, how about the fact that it's the same orange as Cheeto Pennywise? Good. Now your stomach is churning. Let's do this shit the right way. So, for this, all we're gonna need is some heavy cream, some ricotta cheese, some shredded cheese of your choice. I like Cooper Sharp. It's good because it's the closest thing to a real cheese that American cheese actually is, which now that I think about it is a really, really apt metaphor for this country in so many ways. And of course, the pasta itself. We're gonna add a little something extra with some seasoning, but we'll get to that in a moment. But literally, step one, and we have to use a little magic of TV time, is we're just gonna dump all of our heavy cream into the pot, because this mac and cheese in particular is a one pot miracle. We're gonna cook the pasta in our dairy and use it to make our cheese sauce. So we're gonna let this get to a boil, and we're gonna cook it kind of like you cook rice, right? If you're doing the one pot mac and cheese like we're doing today, the idea is you need a 2-to-1 ratio, the same way you cook rice. So for 1 pound of, or 16 ounces of pasta, you need 32 ounces of liquid. We're gonna add that in just a moment.
Rolling.
So, one of the things to worry about when you're making a one pot mac and cheese like we're doing today, right? Because we got the dairy as our primary liquid, particularly heavy cream, is that it likes to foam up. So, just to have on hand, to add a little extra liquid in case you need the cushion, we've also got a little bit of water. I know, magical water. Now, before we add our pasta, we're gonna add some adobo. Once again, and as always, fuck Goya. We're gonna add a little garlic powder. And there are other brands of adobo. Now, the pot size is a little excessive for the amount of pasta that we're gonna cook, but it does make certain that we're not gonna make a mess of our stove, right? Because nobody wants to clean that madness up. Ain't nobody got time for that shit. And now that it's at a rolling boil, starting to foam up, we're gonna very delicately dump all that pasta in. Now the trick at this point is we don't want to let the pasta cook all the way until it's done, but right when it's almost there, so we're gonna have to taste it a little bit, is right when we're gonna want to go ahead and start to finish constructing our cheese sauce, right? And so it's quick and easy. You're gonna end up with something that's as creamy as that from the box stuff, with none of the unnatural additives and such that we've gotten kind of used to as a consumer and convenience driven culture. Because let's be real, in this day and age, while convenience is great, what they have us consuming, not so much. Fuck, I hate when brainworm is right. Anyways, different conversation. So now our pasta is gonna get to that almost al dente stage, and we'll come back and revisit. All right, so when you're doing the one pot method, one thing that's a little annoying, but only a little, is that you do want to continue to stir it to make certain that your liquid level is solid and the noodles aren't sticking, right? But also, you're gonna start to get those aromatics. Now, because we're cooking our noodles in our dairy, it's also gonna thicken it up, meaning we're gonna have a beautiful, rich and creamy cheese sauce around our macaroni. Think about it, right? Like you make pasta, all the chefs talk about, hold on to the pasta water. The pasta water is gold because the starch that releases into the water helps any other liquids or such adhere to the noodle itself. So it's gonna cling to your macaroni just like you want it to. Now at this point, our noodles are pretty al dente, meaning that they're like right on the cusp of where we want them to be. So now we get to the fun stuff, right? Now we add the ricotta cheese. And remember, if need be, you can always add a little bit of water to help stretch out your heavy cream. Everything in heavy cream is a little pricey. Generally, it is. However, you know where to shop. You know how to source your ingredients. For example, not that I'm promoting any brands, but Aldi, for example, at least around us, always has heavy cream for about $3 less than I find it at other stores, which makes it cost effective. Because again, the struggle is meal. Times is hard. Like gas is like $5 a gallon. You know what I'm saying? So we got to do what we got to do. So we just added our ricotta cheese and we're stirring it in. The ricotta is going to act as a creamy base, a lot like our Velveeta would. So now that we've added our ricotta, we're going to add a little something extra. Doesn't matter what kind of cheese you use at the end of the day, right? It's just the cheese that you really prefer, because mac and cheese is great because it's just a template. You can do with it what you will. You can add more to it to add a little more flavor. You can pepper jack, you can go Colby jack, whatever, but we're keeping it straightforward tonight, right? So adding a few heaping handfuls of our Cooper Sharp to our already creamy pasta to take it over to that full-on mac and cheese. Hold on, now, hey, brother, can I get you to come in on this? Come on down on this goodness. And you see how that is already looking rich and creamy. Why I love the Cooper Sharper in particular is because it melts gorgeously. But again, with this base, any cheese is going to be easily incorporated into the mac and cheese. Now, like I said, mac and cheese in itself basically works as a template, right? Which means you can do whatever you want to fluff it, enhance it, and make it more of a hearty meal. You can add proteins, you can add whatever. Tonight, because I'm feeling a little extra fancy, I want a little spicy, but just a little bit, because some people I know don't like things too spicy. You can't see the middle finger off camera, but it's there and it's real. And to be fair, kind of deserved. But in this case, I'm just gonna add some mild green chilies. Pick these up in the aisle with all the other taco fixins. It's like $1 and some change a can. So we're talking pasta is like $2. Ricotta, you don't have to get the big one if you're not making a ton of pasta, because this was to make 2 batches. We're only making a half batch, right? Ricotta is like maybe $2 or $3 out here. The shredded cheese, depending what kind you use, you're looking at maybe $3 for the bag. And while it takes, again, a little extra time and attention to do this, the end result is absolutely worth it. So all we're gonna do now, and you'll notice we've had to do no cutting, no knife work for this, which is one of the things that makes it beautiful. We're gonna add both cans of these mild green chilies into our mac and cheese, just to give it a little extra flair and flavor. Because, I mean, you can go classic, and there is nothing wrong with the classic mac and cheese, right? But if you want to feel like you're doing that fancy, I'm going out mac and cheese, add some stuff to it. I mean, I know lobster might be out the budget, but baby shrimp might be in. Ground beef, chicken, whatever you want to do. Because at the end of the day, once you get the technique down, what you choose to do with it is entirely up to you. Because cooking, real cooking, right, isn't just about a recipe. It's about understanding why things work and how you can make them your own. Because even if you go out to a restaurant, you might add salt, garlic, whatever to a dish. At home, you can make it the way you want it. But knowing why it works and how it works, that's where the real power comes, right? Because you can keep doing this any way you want. You can flip it up. You can do mac and cheese a different way every day. Because as long as it's cost effective, it's going to keep you going. Because every army marches on its stomach, right? And according to these headlines, we're going to need that army real soon. They're probably going to be hungry and angry. Yeah, that's right. They're going to be hangry. That's because now, as always, the struggle is meal. And you got to be well fed when it's time to rise the funk.